Yeah, 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 yeah. Faith without works is dead. I don't wanna die so soon. I got moves to make instead. I ain't scared, I'm prepared. Big ideas inside my head. I'm gon' make them manifest. And I'm dressed for success. I left, right, order my steps. Network, I ain't gotta do it by myself. Who you know, show me who you know. Better let them know we bout to blow. It's time to go, go, go. Yeah, 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 yeah. Go to work, go to work, go to work, get to work, yeah. Go to work, yeah. Go to work, go to work, go to work, get to work, yeah. Go to work, yeah, 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 yeah. I ain't tryna trade my time, yeah. Simply wanna show you what I'm worth, yeah. Daily I'ma stay on my ground. Have a little faith and go to work. Yeah, 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 yeah. Go to work. Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm on grind like every day, 'cause I want everything. I can do anything. Check my resume. It's people against you. They see what you've been through. But look in the mirror, tap into your spirit. It's power within you. Like LinkedIn, I'm locked in, get the job done when I clock in. I weighed out my options, put the work in, that's action, no lacking, just stacking. Big dreams I'm attracting, no accidents, that's fate. Just go in and have a little faith. And faith without works is dead. I don't wanna die so soon. I got moves to make instead, I ain't scared, I'm prepared. Big ideas inside my head, I'm gon' make them manifest. And I'm dressed for success. I left, right, order my steps. Network, I ain't gotta do it by myself. Who you know, show me who you know. Better let them know we bout to blow. It's time to go, go, go. Go to work, get to work, yeah. Go to work, yeah. Go to work, go to work, get to work, yeah. Go to work, yeah, 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 yeah. I ain't tryna trade my time, yeah. Simply wanna show you what I'm worth, yeah. Daily I'ma stay on my ground, yeah. Have a little faith and go to work. Yeah, 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 yeah. Go to work. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, now go nuts, go nuts, go nuts, donuts, go nuts, donuts, 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 go nuts, donuts, 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 donuts.
Hey there, I'm Trevor Houston, the creator of the Who You Know Summit, and I'd like to welcome you to the Who You Know Job Networking Show.
On our program, we'd like to show you a job search like you've never seen.
Everything from getting noticed by employers, how to properly format your resume, and how to network effectively using LinkedIn to drive recruiters to your profile.
We even take suggestions from our amazing community.
So if you want to learn all things job search, go ahead and subscribe now.
Focus! It's all about the job search. So if you want to learn how to land that next success, you heard them. All you got to do is subscribe and ring that bell so you don't miss out on a thing. Welcome to the Who You Know Job Networking Show, where what you know is important, but
Who you know?
Who you know?
Who you know?
Who you know can make all the difference in your business, your career, relationships, and life. Guys, I'm super excited for another hashtag Who You Know presents Media Blitz. where we're broadcasting live to all the social media channels and LinkedIn audio rooms at the exact same time. So hopefully everybody's enjoying it over there in the audio room. Let's see who we got over here. We got Carlos is in the house, Dr. Donna, Marcia, Hope Mangita, Jim Ballard in the house, Yolanda, good to see you. Hope y'all are all doing well. And guess what? We're going to have an opportunity for you if you want at some point in the show to do some live Q&A from the audio room. So we'll get an opportunity for you to come up to stage and ask a question. So we're excited about that. Who do you guys got on the live?
Yeah, on the live video feed, we got Joel Felsenstein, we got Lydia Hernandez, we got, who else? We got Judith Musa. Oh, all the way from Costa Rica. Julia Villa. Hey, great to see you again, Julia.
And Tulsa.
Stephen E in the house, Curtis. Yeah, I love this. Matt Wood, of course, he's going to be with us today. So we're excited about all of that. And one of the things that we always like to do before we really kick things off is we always like to bless the show with a prayer for the audience. So, Foster, will you do us the honors today?
Yeah, let's do that. Guys, bow with me real quick. Father God, there are many, many job seekers that are with us. That is our main audience, and we ask that you help us along the way. Find that right job. Now, I want to lift up the people that are with us that are there to help do that. We've got a number of people that are subject matter experts and all sorts of people in this network that are here to help and connect people and all that sort of thing, and we want to lift them up as well. We pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. Amen. And we have a lot to be grateful and thankful for. There's so much going on in the network.
Yeah,
and a lot of people are landing. So, Mark, you got the landings report. Who do we have that has recently got back to their cash flow? Who do we got?
All right, guys, get your money guns ready. Get your clapping hands ready. We got Alexandra Winter.
Let's go.
We got Jen Farkoff. We got Evelyn Zerminio. We got Rebecca Laharia. Eric Zane. Kate Van Poppel. Cindy Jones and Justin Gerhardt. Congratulations to you all. Hey, guys, remember, listen to their stories, connect with these folks, find out how they got landed, find out because they just got hired. If that company is still hiring, it's all about the relationships. It's all about the who you know.
What's it about? Relationships. Did you say that?
I just said relationships. Your magic
relationships.
Money for that.
And I got my man in the background here. This is my man, Ramon Ray. He did a sneak surprise appearance today, and he was like, hey, I'm in town. So I'm like, dude, come on, roll through. Guys, y'all need to connect with Ramon Ray. Go connect with Ramon Ray on LinkedIn. And I had to spray him with the money. I had to get him. Look at making it rain over here. Just woo! So guys, we got a lot to be grateful for and a lot of amazing things going on in the network. I also right now is the time in the show where we want you to help pay it forward. And what do we mean by that? I want you to mash that share button.
Yeah, share it with people.
Yeah.
Go on, mash it.
Yeah, hit that share button. Start inviting people, right? Invite your network. If there's someone that you think could benefit from hearing this information today, we got an amazing show planned. I want you to just share it out, invite them in, right? You never know, who could be impacted by this, right?
That's right.
Yeah. That's the thing about networking and relationships. Never know.
You never know.
That's right. Well, and that's also the theme of the job search is activity and attitude, right? Mm-hmm. And if your activity is there, your attitude's positive, and you never know who that next conversation is going to be with, that person, that next conversation could be the one that gets you landed. So you're always one conversation away.
One conversation away from changing your life.
Help other people every day.
That's right. Got to have hope.
That is correct. And I also want to give a real quick announcement before we bring on our first guest. We have an event September 21st, okay? September 21st is our Backstage Pass event, okay? And we've got some amazing all-star guests planned for you guys in an awesome event. And if you want to come experience the Who You Know show in person live, then I want you to just send me a DM, or you can just put in the live chat right now. Go ahead and just put hashtag Backstage Pass, okay? And what we're going to do is we'll send you an invitation. Seating is limited. We don't have, it's about 60 folks I think we can seat. So seating is limited. So make sure you go ahead and do that now, because I'm just now starting to fill that up. And we want to make sure you get a seat if you are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, or if you're willing to travel down here.
Yeah, fly in.
Yeah, come see us, come hang out. It would be good to hug on some necks. You know what I'm saying?
That's what we do in Texas.
So I'm super pumped and excited about our first guest because it's very, very timely. Okay, today is the first day of school, right?
Bing, bing, bing.
You took your kids to school today,
dropped
right?
them off today.
Wow.
We actually had our
You're a bus
kindergartner. He's graduated from preschool, and now he's actually in the same school as our eight-year-old. So they're able to get together and see each other at school. So that's nice. But very timely.
Yep.
We know that all the teachers are back in it.
All the teachers are back in it. Shout out to my kids too, Caleb and Isaac. First day of school for them. And so we're excited to bring on our first guest, Jackie Scully. She's the host and the host of the Teacher Story podcast and co-founder of the Teacher Circle LinkedIn group. And she's actually also a VIP sponsor of today's event. So we just appreciate you so much, Jackie, for being here with us today. And welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Absolutely. Well, as we begin the new school year, right? It's a very, very timely conversation, as we were just mentioning. Tell me a little bit about your Teacher Story podcast. Where did that come from, and how long have you been doing that podcast?
Sure. So I just started this in the spring. I had this moment in March where I felt I needed to share my own story about what my teacher journey has been. I've taught in Hawaii and China and throughout the tri-state area of the Northeast, and also through the pandemic, and it's been very challenging for many teachers. And I felt a need to share my own story. And then I was hearing all of these different stories from teachers that are near and dear to me and throughout the country, and felt this kind of pull to interview them and share their voice. I think often teachers feel like their voice is not really heard or respected, and they have so much to share with society. So I started my podcast in the spring, and I first interviewed some really close friends. I had a teacher from Hawaii from when I taught there, a couple of teachers from Delaware from my last school, and someone I know from my AP psychology group. And I kicked it off Teacher Appreciation Week in May. It was very amateur at first because my goal was I wanted to really use that week to start the podcast and say, I appreciate the teachers and all the work that they do, and here are their stories. And then it was really just going to be a project till the end of the school year, do it till late June. And now it's just kind of taken off, and I am interviewing teachers from all over the world.
Oh, that's awesome.
And and it's now a huge part of the Teacher Circle group where we have teachers from all over the world in a global teacher community. It's been amazing.
Well, I got to say something. This is a shout out to all the teachers that dealt with my crazy butt when I was a kid. Okay. Because I was not pleasant. Okay. I was a very rambunctious, disruptive, just really not a good student. And so I want to just apologize to all my teachers because I know I wasn't fun. And I've also seen a lot here recently, Jackie. We're noticing we're serving a ton of teachers who are transitioning out.
Yeah.
Transitioning
get in the industry,
And I think it's because of the way they're being treated. But I'd like to kind of ask you, why do you think we're seeing so many teachers transition out, and what do we do to solve that problem? Because we need the teachers. We gotta educate these young bucks coming up.
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. That was part of my motivation. I saw a lot of the hashtag transitioning teacher on LinkedIn and other groups, and I just wanted to start really doing my own work with talking to them and asking them what are some of the biggest challenges that you face and why you feel this need to leave the classroom. Everyone has their own experience, and I do not take that away from anyone really going through a difficult time. I think certain places in the country, the salary is just not a professional wage. Most teachers have to have a master's degree that they usually pay for themselves. Some schools do offer some kind of reimbursement for that. I'm fortunate in New Jersey that our salary is a pretty good wage. We're also in a very expensive state, but it is livable. But I realized that in many parts of the country, it's just not where it needs to be. There's still teachers getting paid in the 30s. And
that's wrong.
I know.
That's
it's a
wrong,
professional job, you know,
Yeah.
and I think there's been this stigma for a long time that teachers are public servants. Now, I don't take anything away with the idea of serving the public. Like, I went into this profession because I want to mentor children. Like, I want to be there for the next generation. And I feel a real calling towards that. But you go to higher ed, you go and get your master's degree, you continue professional development and continue workshops. You're constantly learning and training. And really the income needs to be there.
Yeah. We need
I
more
think
cash
also-
flow. Yeah, we need more cash
Yes,
flow.
you need to get that money.
Yeah,
machine
we gotta
going
get
there.
we gotta get some more of this cash flow for these teachers. You know what I'm saying? But I you know what? I got another question for you because I really don't have a clue, and you probably do. So I'm just gonna ask you. I know you know, college professors, right, make a little bit more, right?
Oh yeah, 6 figures.
6 figures for a college professional, right? Now, what about like community colleges and stuff? Are they making 6 figures
Some
too?
of them as well.
Some of them.
Yes.
So there is money in education. It's just not in the public school systems, right?
Right. Well, and to back that up, we just got done. My wife has a busy season, and it's at the start of summer, end of the school year. And so we had to go, we have 3 boys. We had to go into daycare for a month or 2. And you look at the amount of money that people spend in daycare, and it's to take care of your kids, right?
Yeah.
And to provide some education. Why can't that be done? And I know, you know, budgets and things like that have to be considered. But if people are willing to pay that to take care of their young kids before they get to school,
Right.
wouldn't they be willing to pay for that to take care of their older kids as well? Shouldn't they be able to? I would. I mean, look, teachers are educating, but they're also caring for your kids the entire day.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the funding is different on both occasions. You know, you got public schools that are funded totally different from higher education.
Hey, Jackie, what is your what's your opinion on how the pandemic has changed things, and maybe your view on education and how it's changed through the pandemic?
Yeah, that's one of my main themes in my podcast. So I go through every interview with like a 4-part trajectory. And I wanted to start with, what was the inspiration? Like, why did you go into teaching? Because I think knowing the story and the heart of the teacher is really important. And then talking about the early experiences in teaching and some of those really like beautiful moments and even challenging moments. Then we get to the pandemic and we use that as a place of an opening of very challenging time. And I think that was the catalyst of many of these transitioning teachers leaving, because there was a lot more put on their plate with also, again, the maybe lower salary, or some places the salary might have been frozen or even decreased, and feeling like you were wearing so many hats and doing so many duties that took away from your real craft and what you do in the classroom. And that became very much like a pressure. But I think also the pandemic became a place where it allowed us to be so flexible and adaptable and think about education in a new way. There's so many other strategies that I learned that I brought back to the classroom and that I want to continue to kind of experiment in my classroom going into next year. So I have found in my conversations with teachers that the pandemic, both challenging, but also this opening of what can we do better and what can we take from this time to really like focus on what is truly important in schools as well. It is, academics, rigor, all of that. But a lot of my conversations have been about mental health, slowing down, holistic education, right? Like stripping things away a little bit so we can come back as a community and really focus on how we connect again and how we care about not only the students' mental health, but the teachers, all the faculty and staff, and really care for one another, because that was something that was just really challenging during the pandemic. So I feel that if we can use this moment to really look at what was the holes that we need to fix in our system, but what can we take away and bring into the future of education, I think it could be a really beautiful thing. And that's been kind of part of my message and part of sharing these stories. And then when I created along with my other co-founders, Sally Palmer and Hope Blecker, who are also on LinkedIn, we wanted to create this teacher circle group to really be there to support one another, to look at the moment we're in and look at like what we can do to make it better and to share strategies and to share our stories from the pandemic and move forward with that. So really it's all about community, and that's kind of my messaging.
Well, and another thing I think is very important, and I'd like to hear your feedback on this, is safety, right?
Mhm.
I mean, we're seeing so many shootings and all of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
What's your viewpoint on that? I mean, let me tell you a story actually before we get to that. So I remember going through school and like Columbine had just happened, and then next thing you know, there's metal detectors at my school. Like when I went to middle school and high school, like we had metal detectors, right? I mean, it was no joke. And then I feel like, I don't know what happened. Like all of a sudden that went away for a little while.
Short-term memories. People have short-term memories,
You know?
and also budgets, right?
Budgets, yeah. But yeah, like I remember that, and there was all these bomb threats, and there was all this stuff going on, and anyways, and now we're just seeing so many shootings going on. What do you think about safety? What are some things that we need to do? Because it's not right that for parents we just don't feel safe sending our kids to public schools. And anyway, what are your thoughts?
Thank you for that question. That was definitely part of a lot of conversations that I've had with teachers, particularly after the shooting in Uvalde. And just, I remember an outpouring of teachers from all over the world as well on LinkedIn and other platforms of just complete and utter, feeling lost. Like, what do we do? Like, how do we move forward? My immediate response is we can do more. Like, my genuine opinion is we can do more, obviously, with like gun safety, right? And gun control and laws and whatnot. But if we want to first keep teachers, because that's another reason teachers might be leaving too, depending on their area.
I think so.
Keep
I know
teachers
one.
in the school. Yeah. Then right away, we can put security on campus. Like
Security on campus. Let's go. Mic drop. Security on campus.
Yeah, I don't
easy.
think that is a crazy idea at all.
Should teachers be packing? I need to know. Should the teachers be packing?
So. Yeah, I don't think so.
I agree with Jackie.
Absolutely not.
What if you have a concealed? Mark, you got a concealed. Are you packing right now, Mark?
No, but so my wife and I had that conversation this morning because I was asking her, I said, they were talking about we were in the PTA meeting this morning and they were talking about, safety and security. And I asked my wife, I said, is there anyone on campus who's authorized lethal use of lethal force? She says, no. And I said, wow. So if something were to happen, it's still the 2 to 3 minutes. And we know what happened in Uvalde. We know that the disconnect there and the problems that they ran into from the tactical response. What is going to happen? What's it going to take?
I think I'm just going to say it, and everybody can disagree with me, and that's okay. We don't have to always agree, okay? Just saying. I think there should be some coaches or some teachers that have concealed, and you need to train them up and maybe pay them a little extra, right? Pay them some more money. We were just talking about more money. Give them a gun. I'm just saying, like, because at the end of the day, that's just messed up, man. I know she's saying no way, but that's cool. You might not want to sign up for that, but maybe there's a coach, a football coach or something, who's like, and I know what. Here's what. Here I can already hear the other side of the argument. Okay. What happens when the teacher busts a cap on the school?
Right. Goes crazy. Right.
Like okay, but that's where security checks go, and if there is let's say you hired a security guard or a cop, right? SROs to be on campus. They have to go through all kinds of security checks and backgrounds and checks and balances for them to be able to carry and do what they do. So it would be the same thing. It would be a higher level of, like, this teacher would be like the super teacher. This is like the, you know what I'm saying? And like, you don't mess with the super teacher.
Maybe,
you know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing ideas out.
I don't have the answer, but I mean, even as an enthusiast myself, like, I don't know that I think I would agree with that, having it in the school. unless that was why they were specifically there, trained. They weren't necessarily a teacher.
What's the audience think? Y'all tell us
comment in the audience.
Comment in if you think I'm crazy and I just need to shut up. You just tell me shut up in the chat.
Getting away from this can of worms.
And you know, on the front end, a lot of police departments are trying to figure out, okay, where does this happen? But you look at socioeconomically. You look at Sandy Hook, and there's a big difference between Sandy Hook and Uvalde.
Yeah.
So you never know where it's going to break out.
So again, to get away from this can of worms, Jackie, I've got a question for you, which might lead into another question from one of the other hosts here. In my district, my kids' district, North Dallas, they're short 1,200. School just started today. They're short 1,200 teachers. Obviously, a big portion of that stemming from the pandemic and this transition that we're seeing. What are you seeing? Philly area, regionally, nationally? Are you getting numbers like that?
So I don't see that personally I'm in southern New Jersey, so I'm about 45 minutes outside of Philadelphia.
Yeah. Oh, outside of Philadelphia. Okay.
So I can't say for sure what's happening in Philadelphia. I could assume that there could be some shortage happening there, probably also in other areas of New Jersey and New York City. But for my region, I have not seen what I've seen on the news nationally in some other areas of the country that are pretty drastic. And I have talked to some people on LinkedIn that are parents, and they're seeing pretty drastic shortages in certain areas of the country. I was just talking with someone from Idaho, someone from Florida. So it really depends. We, again, are fortunate, I think, in the area where we're in southern Jersey, we have a pretty good public school system. I'm in a private school, but the public school systems are pretty strong. Not to say there's not going to be some shortage, but I don't think it's at the level of what you're seeing or some other places. We do have a substitute shortage, and that's going to be across the country. And that was also, I think, another strain on teachers too, is that when there's a lack of substitute teachers, then you're covering classes all the time, which takes away your prep periods and all of that. My school is in the position to really work out a really good schedule where it is not going to be, we're going to just sign up willy-nilly all over the place like when we had to before, because the shortage was just happening at the end of last school year and then Omicron and everything. So we will have a sign up where every teacher will have like a time to do here and there. It's going to be pretty sustainable. And that's really kind of just where we're at. I think that's going to be in every school, that you're going to have a substitute shortage, but the actual teacher shortage, some states are really going to go through a very difficult time.
Yeah.
You know, one of the reasons why I think a lot of these teachers left, and this is just my opinion again, views and opinions, okay? They're all mine. Yeah. But here's what I think is I watched with when everything first shut down and they did this remote learning, that was a joke. I'm just going to say right now. Not the teachers were a joke, no, but just the forcing them like I've got he's 8 now, but he was like 6 or 7 at the time, okay? And you're trying to keep a 6 or 7-year-old's attention on a Zoom all day long, not happening, okay? It was a joke. I'm like, all right, if we're just let's just shut it down. Like you know what I'm saying? I don't know what the solution is, but that wasn't it. I'm just going to tell you. And so you're forcing these teachers to juggle this virtual, this, that, and the other. And I know things have changed now. But I think that put a lot of pressure and a lot of stress. I know it put stress on us as the parents. I was like, this is ridiculous, because we had to babysit as they were going through virtual learning. I'm like, this is homeschool plus.
Somebody had to be home.
Somebody had to be home,
right? Overnight,
right. And so there was just this massive amount of stress during that, right when it first happened. And I think a lot of teachers were just like, I'm out of here. This is crazy. Why am I going to do this for $35,000? I'm out of here. I mean, what are your thoughts? Is that kind of what you saw too?
So we went virtual in March 2020 when the shutdown happened right away. Again, I'm in a independent school. We have pretty good resources. So my situation was very different than other places where there was literally not a program right away, but we had a remote program right away using Zoom, using Google Meet. Flipped our school around in like 4 days. I remember working with the educational technology instructor along with other teachers to help kind of do trainings and workshops to look at like the different things we've already been using in the classroom. And, you know, it was manageable, but we were fortunate by fall that we did hybrid. Hybrid was very challenging, but going fully remote, I think, is even much more challenging, to keep students engaged, but also for the parents and the families and everyone. So we were hybrid and open almost the whole school year of 2020 to 2021, with maybe going virtual like 1 or 2 times for a couple of weeks when we had an uptick. But I know a lot of other places in the country where they were virtual almost the whole entire year, that school year.
Yeah, they
and
were
that
virtual
did put
for
a
long
strain.
time. Yes.
That put a strain on teachers. I would say I'm in high school, so it's a little bit more, again, manageable with high school students, but
Right.
talk about kindergarten.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Why?
Little
why?
kids.
Why are you going to
Yeah,
a
it's so
kindergarten
hard.
and you're going to Zoom a kindergarten for a whole year? Come on, son.
Mm-mm.
Come on,
Hard.
son.
Yeah.
Not
I
gonna
mean,
work.
just shut. Just say, you know what? Next year. Next year. Like,
Here's
I don't know.
Or even, I mean, if they were gonna do that, send some materials home and let the kids do things like in person.
Like color.
Well, yeah. I mean, why would they have to be on a screen? Now, granted, kids that age,
Some
they're
crayons up in
engaged
here.
with screens, right? They're engaged with screens.
Sure.
Some families are all day engaged with screens.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally get what you're saying, and you know, to be effective with a younger segment of the students, that would be difficult.
So I got one more question before we go to the audience, and we'll pull an audience member up here, and hopefully we can get some feedback from the audience. But my next question is, how can we influence the society and the government, okay, to really prioritize education in the way that we treat our teachers? How can we educate them and really make this a priority? What are your thoughts?
Well, thank you first for having me on this show, because I know that little by little, sharing the human story that's coming from the teacher, coming from anybody, is really going to make an impact. And I was just saying this on a recent episode, that the media is going to spin this. The media spins everything for politics. They're going to see this drastic shortage, and then they're going to probably come down on the teachers, and they're not going to know the full story. So by me creating this podcast and interviewing teachers from all over, and having very different experience, but one universal message is that we do need to have better teacher respect. We need to put our teachers up here in society. They are molding the next generation.
Mm-hmm.
Education is the foundation of our country,
Let's
of
go.
any country.
Mic drop.
So you have to, and some other countries, they do see teachers like up here, like with doctors and scientists and everyone else. Like, I mean, if I had it my way, who would be running this country? Teachers, scientists, psychologists, doctors. Come on.
Yeah,
There are
100%.
experts,
Yeah,
right?
the people with
So-
the actual qualifications. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you need to talk to the people. You need to talk to the people. You need to see their hearts. You can't just hear, oh, these are all my qualms, these are all my complaints, or da 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 da. It just sounds like, oh, people are complaining. You really got to hear the heart of the teacher. Why did you want to do this? What is your passion? What is your inspiration? How can we support you? Because you obviously have this inspiration and you have a lot of wonderful ideas. Teachers are some of those brilliant people I know in every level. And I'm going to give it up to like the elementary and lower school teachers. They are the ones that really are the rock stars.
Heck yeah, I couldn't do that.
No, and they teach like all the different subjects. They're certified K through 6.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. So they're creative, they're innovative, they're adaptable. I mean, that's why they're also very marketable, you know, with going into other professions. But we want to keep the good teachers because they're inspiring our generation. And we really, that's why I wanted to start this podcast and the Teacher Circle on LinkedIn with Hope and Sally, because we believe that there's still a lot of really good educators out there that really want to start to maybe look at how do we do internal change? How do we start to inspire change from the inside and let that hopefully reverberate out? Because there's a lot of good teachers still in it fighting the good fight.
Amen. And
Yeah,
you
there
guys
is.
need to go check out the Teacher Story podcast and the Teacher Circle LinkedIn group and connect with Jackie for sure. And we do have an audience member question in the audio room. So I see Marcia. If we can pull Marcia up to the stage. And Marcia, when you come up to the stage and you're getting your question ready, LinkedIn will ask you for permission for your microphone. And the cool thing is you're actually going to become part of this podcast right now, live podcast. How cool is that? So, Ziggy, if we can have her pulled up, that would be amazing.
Marcia, I am trying to pull you up. Give me just a second. I might have to reload my page here.
Oh, okay, cool.
But you just stay on the line, Marcia, and we will get to you.
Amazing. So we're going to pull you up here in just a moment, Marcia. So, and again, once you come up to the stage, it will ask for your permission for your microphone. And then we'll get your question ready. Mark, you had something you were going to say?
Well, yeah, I was just going to comment in the time it takes to get her in here. So, look, teachers are underpaid, they're underserved, and they're, in many cases, undeserved, right? And so,
Yeah.
But we go back to pay. Is it all about pay, Jackie?
That is
You
one
left.
aspect.
You
I
gotta
think
come back
pay
I'm trying.
and it's the respect. And I think teachers really should have a voice in the system, and they have a lot of ideas. And I think they just need the space to share it, you know? And I think that's a huge part of it, is feeling like their voice is heard.
Is that because everything is geared towards teaching to the test?
Yeah, I think that's another concern teachers have too, is the priority of standardized testing and always the scores, and do the scores then reflect back on like the teacher and the teaching? Again, that's not my situation because I'm in a private school, but I have taught in public school and we had testing before, and the scores can then be this label, right, of a school and then a label of teachers. And that's really unfortunate because there's so many other factors that go into a test score, and test scores at the end of the day don't really show real learning.
Yeah.
That's true. Well, my mother was a teacher for 40 years, Jackie.
Oh, wonderful.
And the stories, and unfortunately, I'm from a little town and she taught me too in 5th grade. But, the stories that were shared and the observations that I had as a kid, watching my mom dealing with society, dealing with people's children, I don't believe that my mom would be very, very positive about what's going on in today's time. She helped develop the test that we have here in Texas. She and Governor Ann Richards back in the day, and the whole process has changed.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we were able to fix the audio room, it looks like. So if we can pull Marcia up, I know you had a question. Let's see if we can work this out here.
Yes, Marcia, if you could raise your hand again, and I can allow you to speak here.
Beautiful, there she
we
goes.
are. All right, and we're pulling you up to the stage. All right, Marcia.
Marcia, thank you for being with us today. I appreciate you. We've got Jackie Scully in the house, and she's just been dropping mics all over the place. Let us know what question or comment you have for Jackie. I appreciate you being here.
Ditto, gentlemen, and Miss Jackie. So thank you for having me. But Miss Jackie, it's not so much of a question, but it's I just like to thank my teachers for their service, like period. But you know what? I was just talking to somebody about education yesterday because my goddaughter was an educator and she left, but now she's back teaching because they don't have enough teachers in Baltimore City, Maryland. But Miss Jackie, it's a whole bunch of variables with that teacher thing. They leaving in droves and all of that. Number one, they're not getting respected. Number two, not only do they have to deal with the education piece, but a lot of them had to learn technology. This whole Zoom virtual thing was brand new. So you got to give them credit for even making an attempt to learn. Then you have to deal with the state, local, and federal fools, called the government and the school board and the parents and about the mask mandates and all of this. You know what? And then they're really expected to come with a smile every single day. You know what? My hat really goes off to them. Like, the end. I just can't wrap my head around everybody on this platform. I can't wrap my head around people that don't major in common sense.
Hey, mic drop, Marcia. There you go.
I mean, facts. I mean, why you think? And to Miss Jackie point, they making $30,000. I mean, are you kidding? Who can live off? And you're not even talking about the teachers. Not only do they have to pay rent and buy supplies, then they have to have somewhere to live. And rents, gentlemen and Miss Jackie, rents have gone through the roof.
Yeah, so, gas prices, inflation, everything, everything's up. So I agree with you 100%, Marcia.
Then you have to deal with, and now one more thing, gentlemen. Then you, Miss Jackie, then you have to deal with students that's been in the house already had issues before COVID. A lot of times they try and put these children's issues on COVID, but it was, trust me, that was just the surface. COVID just brought the cream to the top with all the behavioral type of issues once they got back to school and all of that. So what are your thoughts, Ms. Jackie? Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for giving so much teacher appreciation and love. I really appreciate that. Yes, just so many challenges, right? And I want to just go back to how amazing the heart of the teacher is, because they balance all of that. They wear so many hats, and they look at their students in front of them, and they care about every single student, and they care about their well-being. And sometimes we do more of that than care for ourselves. And I think we're also in a time where people are like, I'm just so tired and I didn't take care of my own health or mental health, that like, maybe I just don't know if I can be in this anymore. But that's why I think in education, when we talk about mental health and holistic education, it's the students, but it's also all of the faculty and staff. We have to take care of each other, and we have to make sure we're making space for teachers to have breaks, to feel like they can have that prep period and time to really create and collaborate. We want to create these lively learning environments for our students. But we need to do a lot of changing with the schedule and just with like how we give that time to teachers and all of the respect. So I think the more we have teachers coming to the surface and talking about their stories and sharing their ideas, and hopefully this grows in the teacher circle on LinkedIn, we can start to really make those changes within our schools, working with our administrators, working with our parents, working with like all of the different community members. That is my hope. Again, I am in a fortunate situation where I feel like I can see that growth coming, but I want to inspire other teachers. And that's kind of why, again, I wanted to start this podcast and community along with my two other co-founders, Hope and Sally, because we are in fortunate situations where we want to support those teachers who want to stay in it.
Well, awesome. Jackie, we appreciate you. And Foster, you were going to say something real quick.
Oh, I was just wanting to say, guys, have you ever been asked those questions? Or you'll hear football players, you'll hear astronauts when they ask them who inspired them in life.
Teacher.
Most of all the time, every time it's a teacher.
Absolutely.
So I think we need to think about that. And we need to do more than just think about it, guys. We need to do something about
action. We need to take some action. You feel me? You know what? And Jackie, we just appreciate you so much. And I want to tell us, where's the best place for the audience to connect with you?
Yes.
Sure. I think the links that I provided you will be somewhere, but I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, and I'm active in that community really for the teacher circle and teacher support, and also to promote my podcast and hopefully recruit other teachers who want to share their stories, because the more stories we share, I think the more we can have change. So the LinkedIn, I'm Jacqueline Scully on there. That's my formal name, but the teacher story with Jackie Scully is on every podcast platform. I'm also on Facebook as Jackie C. Scully and on Instagram. So lots of different places.
Well, we're about to blow you up. So watch this. Hey, audience, I want you to do me a big old favor. If you can take a screenshot, if you're on social media or wherever you're at, I want you to just take that screenshot.
Do it.
And I want you to blow this thing all over social media, tag Jackie in that, and tell her, what was one of the most influential mic drop moments that you learned from today. We want to hear that. I want you to just blow her up. I want her notifications going bonkers. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You feel me? So let's do that. I'm going to take a picture right now. Here we go. Here we go. Watch this. There you are. Boom. Okay, we're going to post that all over social media. Jackie, thank you so much for being with us. And we really, really appreciate you. Guys, we got to go to a real quick commercial break, but don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we're going to salute to Matt Wood. We'll be right back.
If anyone is out there and you're a realtor or you are looking to get your real estate license, it's a very low cost entry, $300 to take your real estate course online. Inexpensive compared to like a college. EXP is $150 to join, and it's like $84 a month. So relatively speaking, these are very inexpensive costs. If you are interested in that and you want to work with me as a realtor, I'd love to have you join my team, and you want to hear about the model. then go to join10xempire.com. And I do this opportunity call every Tuesday. Would love to answer your questions and tell you more about what I'm doing. If anyone out there is interested in working with me.
Hey guys, come work for the most innovative company in the world, 10X Incubator. We're launching 10,000, listen to me, 10,000 tech companies in 10 years. If you're a coder, what?
We got
programmer,
coders, we got graphic designers, we got copywriters, digital marketers, biz dev.
you name it.
You
But
got
if you
skill.
like tech, love tech,
hungry.
want to be in tech, okay? We don't actually require that you get the jab here either. Just so you know, if you want it, good. If you don't want it, no problem. We are hiring. We want you. If you're good at your job, if you're disciplined, if you want to be paid well, if you want to be taken care of, if you want to be in a 10X environment, click the link below. Give us your resume and a short video, 30-second video. Just tell us who you are. Tell us what you do. We want you. We want you.
Let's go.
We want you.
Welcome back to the Who You Know Job Networking Show, where what you know is important, but
Who you know?
Who you know? Who you know can make all
Who
the
you
difference in your
know.
business, your career, your relationships, your life. And I'm super excited to introduce you to our next guest. So next, we've got Matt Wood, and he is the Chief Headache Reducer and founder of Suiting Green Consulting. He's also a VIP sponsor of today's event. So Matt Wood, thank you so much for being here. If I can get a warm welcome, let's go.
Welcome, Matt. Thank you for your service as well.
Yeah, thank you for your service, Matt.
Matt, I just gotta tell you, I like your chief headache reducer,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Like chief headache reducer. You know, I woke up this morning with a little bit of a headache. So I just want to let you know I appreciate that. Tell me about the title because you know, it's interesting. I haven't seen that one before.
Well, it did exactly what I wanted it to do. It got you thinking about things, got you interested.
Yeah.
And it sparked a conversation. So, I mean, that's part of what it was. And then the way I look at what it is I'm doing for companies, I'm reducing their headaches when they're trying to figure out how to hire smarter, especially as it pertains to the military and you know, the veteran and military spouse communities, because there's so many ways to go about doing it, and a lot of companies don't do it well. They don't understand how to do it effectively, and they lose talent like within a year. And now they're wondering, well, man, we just lost, you know, $100,000 because of all the recruiting, the onboarding, and everything else. Now we got to do that all over again. Man, that's a headache. So I can come in and help reduce that headache.
There we go. All right, I'm gonna give you a mic drop. Okay. See, I had to know. We've had chief heart officers in here, but you're the first chief headache reducer, so I love it. Thank you for explaining it. And you spent 21 years active duty.
Wow.
What branch?
I was in the Army.
Army. Thank you for your service. And is it hoorah or is it huh?
Huh.
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 Did I
I
mess
haven't
up?
used that.
I guess that's the Rangers.
So
in that.
many years. I got that drilled out of me a long time ago. So
All right,
you're
well,
fine. I won't.
You
I
got
won't
it drilled
fault you
in,
for-
and you had to get that out.
Well, I got to
Oh,
tell
yeah.
you again. Also, yeah, thank you for your service from me as well. I'll shameless plug to the Vet SOS show. Our co-host on the Vet SOS show, Sean Welsh. He's actually at in Georgia, Fort Benning. So that's a unique kind of
Fort Benning School for Wayward Souls.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, wow.
Unique coincidence there. So,
Well, talk to us about your transition to Disney, right? Because you got out the military, right? You did 21, and you're like, I'm out.
And then going to Disney.
And
of
in
all
Disney,
places.
I'm like, wait a minute, hold up, you going from the war to the big screen
To the
with
kitty
the
pot.
Mickey Mouse?
Right.
Like what? What's all that about?
Yeah. So, and it was really weird because, my last assignment on active duty, I was a senior drill sergeant, which a lot of people have trouble believing because like, no, there's no way. You're way too easygoing, laid back for that. But that's what I was doing.
Dude.
And as I was making that transition, I was like, where do I want to go next? So my family and I were down at Disney on vacation. While we were there, we were there for like a week or so, and my wife turned to me and she's like, hey, it'd be really cool if you had a job at Disney. I didn't realize she was joking at the time, so I was like, all right, game on, let's go. So the January I was getting out, I started applying for jobs, and I was reaching out, I was connecting with people. I was like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. I found a job that had some skills that I had done previously in my career. I said, well, okay, it's sales. I was an Army recruiter. If I could sell people on joining the Army, then I could probably sell them with whatever's, whatever Mickey's selling. So that was it. And that's what got me in the door with Disney. And I was there for roughly about, just over 3 years, depending on how you do Disney math. Because they do it a little bit differently depending on how you move around the company. But that's what I did. I was there, like I said, just about 3 years, and then the pandemic hit. Worked through a majority of the time when almost the entire company was furloughed. And then October of 2020, I got a call as I was coming back from a doctor's appointment. Said, hey, your role's been eliminated.
Wow.
And best of luck to you.
How many in the audience can relate to that? Tell me in the chat if during the pandemic, if your position just kind of disappeared.
Yeah, ain't got to go home, but you can't stay here.
Yeah, you got to go home, but you can't stay here.
Go pack your box.
What did that? Yeah, get your Mickey Mouse ears, pack your box up, and get out. How did that feel? Like, what were your emotions? What were you going through? And then, like, how did you get through that? And then what was next?
So it was a really interesting experience. My wife and I had been talking about what Halloween was going to look like because the team I was on at the time, we were getting ready to roll out this new system across the company, and we knew we were going to be super swamped. And I'd already told, look, I'm going to be working on Halloween. I'm probably going to be working late. I came home, I opened the door, I said, hey, guess what? I'm going to be able to go trick-or-treating with you and the kids. Wait, I thought you were working. No, so about that. I just got laid off.
See what happened was.
All right,
How you gonna get fired on your day off?
Your day off.
Sorry, just the old
yeah,
Friday.
that's
joke,
exactly what it felt like. So,
On Wednesday.
But so that was how I took it. And I kind of was like, okay, well, it was a fun run. I got to see some things I'd never seen before, and see a side of that company, and it was cool. It was a good experience. Learned a lot from it. But it took me into trying to figure out what was next and realizing that there's this huge knowledge gap between the corporate America and what they understand about the military and what the military understands about corporate America. Yeah, I didn't know anything about corporate. The last time I'd worked for any regular company I was 19. I worked at a hotel as a front desk attendant. Not a lot of skills that I could bring into a company right now. So I had a conversation with my neighbor who happens to also be retired from the Coast Guard. We were talking about how he knew construction companies that were hiring people because they were veterans. And they said, oh, well, these, we're going to get leaders out of this and everything. And the people they were hiring weren't working out. They were failing at the tasks that they were given because when they looked at it, they're like, oh, well, we got somebody that did, 4 years. And unfortunately, 4 years in the military is great. It'll give you some really good life skills. Typically not going to put you in a whole lot of leadership positions, and it's definitely not going to set you up to do a lot of project management, which is what these companies were looking for. And so we started talking about it and realized, okay, there is that huge knowledge gap. One, between what corporate America doesn't know about the military and what the skills that veterans come out of it with, and then two, they don't know how to use it effectively. That's where I started looking at it.
Is it like a translation issue? Because I know, that's what I hear is that, in the military, they're doing things, they have the skills, but the way they translate them into corporate America, it may be called something different in corporate America, like a project manager and like a, I don't know, drill sergeant. I don't know, what would that be? What I don't know. What, Mark, you were in the military.
Yeah,
what
or like like a senior NCO, or somebody in a specific job description.
Yeah, can you give me some examples, Matt, of some translation? Like here's a title of a military person, and then what that would actually translate in a title in corporate America. Can you maybe give us some of those examples?
So, well, and in fact, I just had a conversation about this about a week or so ago at local chamber of commerce, and I brought it up, and I was like, okay, who out here in this group could use somebody that's a sniper? And outside of the police department, who happened to be there, I was like, okay, so you two guys are the outliers, but everybody else out here can't really use a sniper,
right? Yeah,
but you can use somebody that knows how to do training and development, that knows how to accomplish a mission or a task that they're given. They know how to manage projects. They know how to lead others. And on top of being able to lead others, they also know how to follow when needed. So they bring those soft skills into an organization that are really hard to find and really hard to teach. So they don't need the sniper skills, but they need the ability to, one, do all the things I just mentioned, and somebody that's dependable, that they know is, they don't have to micromanage all the time. So, and like with me, when I came out, I was like, all right, well, I was an infantry guy for 21 years.
Were you a sniper?
No.
Oh, you weren't a sniper?
Marksman.
Listen, I was just thinking as you were saying all this, I'm like, Mark, because me and Mark are business partners, right? And so I'm like, man, we need to hire a sniper, because that sounds
There you go. Well, and another translation issue, like using your example, Matt, would be patience to achieve results.
Ooh.
Right? What does a sniper have? Total patience to achieve the result.
They're sitting back and they're targeted. They're like focused. You know what I'm saying? Like they're going to focus, targeted.
So many
being
a hiring
skills.
professional, being a talent acquisition, recruiter. There you go.
But is that the primary issue though? That they can't voice that, right? They can't vocalize that. And companies aren't looking for that.
You got to know both areas to be able to make the transition. So one thing that I was going to say is I've noticed, because being a hiring professional, I've noticed that there is a big smile on people's faces in supply chain and logistics. Now we know that in the Army, you get it done, and in supply chain and companies that are moving certain products, they may be moving it for somebody else. They got to get that stuff done. And a lot of times they're really smart. They're real positive on hiring people from the military in that area, especially in areas of management of supply chain and logistics.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Six Sigma stuff, project management. That's stuff that, military professionals do on a daily basis. They may not realize that that's exactly what they're doing. And we don't call it that on, daily, but that's what we're so used to doing. And that's why companies like that big Smiling 8 company that you mentioned, they like people that have those skills that they can take and bring into their organization. And that's part of it. And again, it goes back to the company's not understanding. They don't have that Rosetta Stone sitting in front of them saying, all right, hey, cool, we got a military resume. Other than, that's a check of a block saying that we hired a veteran, and that's $9,600 in tax credits if we're actually paying attention to the work opportunity.
That was my next question. What are the economic benefits? What's the economic benefit for companies to hire some veterans? Is there any incentive for the companies to hire a veteran?
Yeah, so the biggest one is that work opportunity tax credit. I mean, it can be up to $9,600 for an employee. They hire them, and they submit their certification through their state Department of Labor, or in Florida's case, the Department of Economic Opportunity. And they get certified. That employee has to work 120 hours within that first year for the company to be able to claim that as a tax credit, which is, I mean, I don't know any company that's going to turn away $9,600, even Disney.
Yeah, you got a point there.
I want to see some kind of program. Like, listen, I just have ideas, okay? They're probably all wrong and probably wouldn't work, but I'm just going to throw it out there. I want to see some kind of like guaranteed program. Like, I get out the military, I want a JOB. I want some cash flow, and I need to have it guaranteed. Like, when I get out, there needs to be guaranteed outplacement for me when I get out of the military.
Another observation that I've made is, guys, if you have a leader, if you have a company leader, a CEO, or somebody on the C group that is out of the military, they're going to understand the correlation between military and how he gets into corporate America, and they're going to be positive, a little bit more positive than your guy that's a little bit scared of hiring the person from the military because they think they're going to come in there and upset the program and make everybody mad because they're on everybody's butt.
Well, you got a lot of people that get out of the military. They don't know what to do. The programs aren't that great to transition them out. And you know what? All they know is the military. That's all they know. And so they end up getting depressed. You know, if it gets too bad, we see it just like with the job seekers. You have a lot of suicide and things like that. And it's like, listen, we need to treat these people better. Right? Yeah. When they get out of the military, there's got to be some kind of programs. And Mark, that's what your show's about with the Vet SOS. And it seems like to me, from what I'm hearing, it sounds like the programs aren't that great because we're not getting the job done.
Yeah. And Matt, that was a question that I had is, you know, we're obviously talking about that on this other show in our network, but what are your thoughts on what the military community is currently doing, TAP, aka TAP, right? And what could they do to help themselves make that transition easier, right? And I don't think it's up to the government. I don't think it's up to the military necessarily to do that, because here's part of the problem with TAP is that you've got a lot of people that have never done the actual process themselves. They're just teaching it, right? What are your thoughts, Matt?
So the TAP program is run through the Department of Labor, which is interesting because it's a Department of Defense program, but they're borrowing it from DOL. So I would say that part of the issue, like you said, it's not something that gets trained throughout a person's military career. They don't come in day one and automatically start planning for when they leave. And I think that's part of where the narrative needs to be changed. If we start looking at from the moment you enter the military, you start planning for what life after the military is going to look like. You know, maybe every quarter or every year, you have to go through that transition process and do a resume, update your resume. The senior leadership needs to buy off on that to ensure that, hey, this is something that we're doing. We're not just checking a block like a lot of other military training can be, but we're making sure that this is getting done so that when these people actually leave, one, they have a resume that is, if it actually translates what they've done in the military.
Right.
Into something that it's transferable. And two, they're familiar with how that process works. I've used the example to my friends that are making the transition out. I said, okay, hey, when you get ready to move from one location to another, how many times have you reached out to that gaining installation and said, hey, I'm Matt, I'm coming into your place. Where do you think I might fit? And they all do that. And that's the same way that the military community needs to look at the transition piece and the networking. If you're looking at a company, start reaching out and saying, hey, I want to come to your company, or I'd like to know more about your company. What do you guys do? What roles do you have? How do you, and eventually steer the conversation into, do you think some of the skills I have would be beneficial to your organization? And then that can help with them with their networking piece, which, as we all know, is a huge aspect of finding that next job.
It's all about who you know, right? Right. And I subscribe to that. And I'm gonna tell you another thing I subscribe to. What you just said about like starting that conversation super early, right? So as you're recruiting that 18-year-old fresh out of high school baby, right? Have the conversation about what that journey looks like. And okay, you're going in to do, become a sniper, but what does that translate when you get out? And like you said, on a yearly basis, checking in and saying, okay, are we still on course, right? Because people change, and as you get older, your priorities change, things change. Maybe you have kids, all these things change. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's important, to your point, Matt, to have regular check-ins to make sure that we are leading these people in the right direction and not just...
Well, to your point, what's good for it's reverse. What's good for the gander is good for the goose, right? Not the other way around.
I don't know what that means.
You don't know what that means, but at any rate, I mean, think about this, right? And Matt, maybe you can comment on this too, is that if you're doing things like that, starting early, setting people up for success, not only in their military career, but beyond that, retention is going to improve, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Right now, retention in the military is a huge issue.
Well, and so is the recruiting aspect. But it's, I mean, if you're doing those transition pieces, you're doing at least the administrative side of it, getting the resumes, starting the networking, but you also have to look at the emotional and mental aspects of it. And that's the hardest part, especially for those that make a career out of it, that do 20 or more years. They leave, and all this support network, all their, they call them, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, all that disappears. In an instant, it's all gone, and they get lost, and they're trying to figure out, okay, what's my next move? How do I fill those blanks in? And they don't you have to understand that leaving the military is like getting divorced from somebody that you loved for 20 years.
Yeah, 20 years. That's
you're going through that grieving process, and how do you deal with that?
Yeah. We see it all the time, and it's not just the military. It's pretty much for a lot of people. We see football players, athletes, they or just even job seekers who have been at a company.
America,
Corporate America. Let's say you were 20 years at a company and then they let you go. There's this identity issue. Like, what's my value? It really hurts people, right? Because they're lost. They're just lost. And so I respect what you're doing, Matt, because you're helping people, get found. Right. And you're helping people get back to their cash flow and get back to a sense of identity and purpose. And there's so much calling in that. And I mean, because we see if people remain lost, they end up doing crazy stuff. And so I really appreciate what you're doing, Matt. I really think it's amazing. Now, we do have time for one question from the audience. So if you want, in the audio room, if you have a question, just raise your hand. Or if you have a comment for Matt, we would love to pull you up as well. But before we do that, let me see. What's another good question here? Go ahead. You have one.
I've got a good question. So, Matt, is there a standout, if you were to say one thing, right, that Suit and Green Consulting does, maybe like a proprietary idea or process that you're using with these companies, what might that be? What sets you apart? What's the feather in your cap?
Well, I kind of look at myself as being the Rosetta Stone for these companies. When it comes to how they look at the military community as a whole, because there are a lot of companies that don't understand the military, that don't have anybody that's got military affiliation at all, and so what they see is Hollywood, and they look at us and they say, oh well, they hear the term veteran, it's like, okay, well, they're broken, they've got some kind of medical issues, they've got PTSD, which is super violent when they hear a loud bang. They're all going to pull Liam Neeson on us, and the skills they have are particular and whatever. But I approach those companies that have that attitude, and I say, well, if I break a box of crayons, can you still use them? Yeah. Well, broken crayons can still color. And it's the same way with the veteran community.
Dang, that's a mic drop. I'm gonna give you
Man,
that.
that's a mic drop.
That's great.
You know, so we had another guest. Gosh, I'm having a brain fart. I can't remember his name. Terrence Mahone. Remember him? And he came on and he did it was really cool illustration, and he showed a cup, right? It was like a coffee cup, and he broke it. And then they put it back together. It was like a Chinese process of putting this cup back together. And the where the cracks were, there was this gold outline, right?
I remember that.
And he said when it's broken, it will never be the same, right? It'll never go back. It'll never be the same cup. But, you know, if it's put together properly, then it can be even more beautiful, right? When it's put back together. And so he showed this beautiful illustration of this cup. And so when you said that about the crayons, it kind of made me think of that.
Yeah, great analogy.
Yeah. Guys, well, do us a favor real quick. Let's take a screenshot. I want you to post this thing all over social media, and I want you to tell Matt what was a mic drop moment that you really were inspired by, and I want you to just blow his social media up. And Matt, what's the best way for the audience to connect with you? Where would you like them, if they have any resources, connections, anything, questions even? Where's the best place for them to connect with you?
It's like Jackie. I'm all over LinkedIn.
Okay.
I'm there every day, all day. So that's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. I'm Matt F. Wood on LinkedIn. Yeah, hit me up on there. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. Yeah, LinkedIn, it's always open. So.
That's a great logo too. You got the chevrons, you got the wings. That's a great logo.
Well, Matt, we just really appreciate you. Thank you so much for being with us today. Keep doing what you're doing. And yeah, there you go. There's that picture going. We're going to post this all over social media. We're going to blow you up, okay? I want the audience, blow him up. You know what I'm saying? Not a bad way, but you know what I'm saying. Like, in a good way.
Yeah, no, I've had that before. I don't need that again.
Yeah, not like that. Not like that. Thanks again, Matt. We really appreciate you. Have a phenomenal day, okay?
Yeah.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
All right, I want to go to the audience real quick. I see Jim Young, Hope Mangita. We got Alyssa Southall in the house. Jason Hopper. He says, mic drop. Neil Anson. Good to see you. William McLaughlin. Matthew McKinley. Man, we just got a whole big old audience. We appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in to the Who You Know Job Networking Show, because that's the show. It's all about who you know.
Who you know.
Bye. Trevor Houston here, and I want to thank you for tuning in to the Who You Know Job Networking Show. We hope you've been inspired, encouraged, educated, and entertained all at the same time. For information on our different events, workshops, partners, or partnership opportunities available, check out whoyouknow.show for more details. And be on the lookout for our new mobile app. You never know how this show could help someone you know. And if we've made an impact or put a smile on your face today, don't forget to hit that share button on your way out. Until next week, it's all about who you know. Bye.